Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Pinball Arcade. So, had a couple duds with Gone Nuts and El Dorado City of Gold, which was just literally a reskin of El Dorado. But today we're playing Space Shuttle, which, if this is the table I recall, this one has like 18 ball multi-ball. Either in that or I'm completely thinking of something different. Space Shuttle 1984 is a classic Williams table designed by Barry Ausler and Joe Kaminkow. It features a fantastic space exploration theme and was the first Williams games to feature a playfield toy with a replica of NASA's Space Shuttle, which at this point, even in 84, the Space Shuttle was a big deal. It probably was close to brand new in 84 too. I think in 2021 we still sort of use the Space Shuttle, but they are getting close to retiring it. Maybe they did retire it a couple of years ago. I think they may have. And we were using Russian rockets and shuttles from that point. And we're now trying to have companies like Tesla, SpaceX, not Tesla, but SpaceX, create reusable rockets to some level of experimental success. It's still not been fully adopted. At the time of its release, pinball revenue was way down. The commercial success of Space Shuttle allowed Williams to keep making pinball, paving the way for all of the great tables released after 1984. With its great features and out-of-this-world play action excitement, this game is a once-in-a-millennium masterpiece. 7,000 units of this table were produced. So, nothing but an 18-ball multi-ball. Must be thinking of a different table. I do think I've played this table, though. Yep. And eventually, you'll start to see pretty much every table will have some kind of plastic toy on it. You're also seeing some plastic on top of the three bumpers, which are in about the perfect place. The top lane spelling USA, a spinner on the right, a lane to a drop target, a ball walk on the left and right in the middle of the table. More art covering up the slingshots on the left and right. Just two flippers, pretty standard. Yeah. Is there anything else? I guess the central lane does drain to the end lane on the right, which looks nice. Let's look at the flyer. If you notice that revenue is way down in 84, that is no coincidence that the Nintendo Entertainment System came out in 83. So, home consoles as toys instead of home PCs, which came about much later, and PC gaming still is yet to have a great grip on the gaming community. But yeah, the NES started stealing a lot of thunder and a lot of money away from arcade money. If these were 50 cents per game, which they probably weren't even 50 cents, if these were 25 cents per game, well, you play enough games and you are at that $60 to $80 equivalent that you would have cost you to get an NES. Of course, $80, $60, $80 when the NES came out is about the equivalent of $400 by modern price. But that only serves to once again highlight the fact that even a quarter for an arcade game was fairly expensive. This is an odd depiction of the flyer in that there's nothing on one side, and these flyers are very inconsistent in shape and size. And then they're covering up part of the flyer otherwise. And there is no pro version, so we're just going to, I guess there's just a 3-ball multi-ball. Yeah, I must have been thinking of it. There was a different, it's probably Apollo 18 or Apollo 16. You do have left lane affects the, for left lane select on the top lane. You have a score counter, which is, which is just lights, lighting up a bunch of lights in the central lane. There is more of a reason for that than might be completely obvious. Right, so when you hit the drop down, you have only a certain amount of time to shoot the ball and get an extra bonus up that central lane. The spinner brings you back to the top lane so you can increase your multiplier. Plus, the close location of those bumpers sets you in a very nice position. Now, the central shot is fairly tight. Those bumpers are thick between the central ramp, and they will bounce the ball back directly down the center. And if you don't hit the central shot with all your force, you are going to have it just roll backwards and down the center lane. So you have a almost like a kickback feature in a gate on the right. Come on. That's a weird sound effect. Definitely remember playing this table. One of the things about this table is the incredibly difficult left and right ball locks. They are angled, so you pretty much have to get it right on the tip of the flippers. Now it's doing a match, which is incredibly slow. It did give me a credit, but what does that matter? It's so insane that the Xbox 360 version of this game literally does make you have credits to play and spend credits to play the tables. And I definitely hit a point where I had completely run out of credits, and I think you had to basically exit and restart the game, and then it would give you 5 credits, or it would continue you and give you 5 credits, which is not a lot. I don't think it literally locked you out of ever playing the game ever again, but it was pointless and kind of ridiculous. So you gotta get really good at that shot and the ball lock shots. So you're gonna be hitting the balls from the in lanes to the flippers with a lot of frequency if you want to succeed. Now this is a table that moves the ball quite a bit. There's not a point here where you get into a certain area and you stay in that certain area. You're up and down the playfield quite a lot. I think there might be different targets or missions. That's one ball block. That orange row of targets might indicate different missions that you're currently on. I do like that this table turns off all the lights when it's game over. That way it's not right in your face that it's draining a ball you had locked. This is a table that feels a lot like Firepower. Though it definitely screams, get to play this table when you want to practice your shots, because this one's gonna be a nightmare scenario for you as far as getting some of these sound effects are a little wonky, I would say, too. And yeah, any pinball could improve if I was better at nudging. This is one of those eventual tables too, where if you just keep playing, I think you would eventually get everything, get all the challenges. Alright, so the obvious thing would be to shoot the ball up the middle ramp, and that should start a 3-ball multi-ball. Problem with that is that shot is still harder than it seems. Right. So what's the special? It's probably shooting the ball up to center again. And unless that was going to let you just restart a multi-ball by shooting up the center lane, I imagine you would have to lock the balls again. I don't think this table has an auto launch feature. That is kind of crazy that Gone Nuts was the first and so far only table we've seen with an auto launch feature. That upper area is really nice, because that could have been nothing, really. Looks like we've got a shoot again. A lot of that upper left area could have been nothing, and instead they've made it really impactful and important. There's not a lot of empty space on this table. It's actually very busy compared to a 1960s or early 70s table, and yet everything they do use is used fairly well, and it's unique and not just the same thing. I guess the blinking orange light that says shield only works for if you drain down the center, not if you drain down the out lanes. I'm not sure if it's really necessary to have the extra artwork covering up stuff, but it does make it look different. covering up the bumpers, for instance. That also would stop the ball from potentially bouncing upward and I guess maybe getting stuck on top of the bumpers, but that really shouldn't be a concern. There is a possibility that the bumpers may have had a small chance of bouncing the ball upward and getting it stuck behind the toy. Introducing that unfamiliar element could potentially have caused some trouble. I don't know if I can actually launch the multiball. I guess I can, I just have to hit the drop target first. So, a center shot there, then that. Then as many center shots as possible, or just as many shots as possible to keep the balls up and out of my hair. It's not making a particularly loud sound like you won. And then, yeah, that seems like we are here just now to reset everything. This also feels like a table that kind of high scores you only partially because you actually are achieving something. But if this was giving me 10 points for every action instead of 100 points for every action, that would feel more in line with this style of table. Although I guess it really doesn't matter one way or the other. There are definitely going to be some pinball players who would be dissatisfied with this table because they would never be able to get the central shot off in time because it only gives you that brief amount of time. Notice how the slingshots have twice now led to a locked ball, so they tested them and angled them specifically to be able to pull that off. So apparently hitting the spinner a few times lights the bumpers. Seems like I can have a 2-ball multi-ball. 3, 2, 1, abort, lift off. Interesting. Come on, center shot. 3, 2, 1. So yeah, we're doing very well here. But you could certainly do better. Just getting a whole bunch of score multiplier would be a way to improve. I am definitely at a weird disadvantage playing these pinball tables, particularly ones I've played before. So there's a 2-ball multi-ball, because like some of these tables I'm just good at, frankly. And I'm just gonna be good at them. I just have too much experience. I've lit the in lanes, which that was the last of the standard goals to do. Oh, I guess that shield is an actual physical button that pops up and not just a light. I didn't realize that. So 2.5 million, you would think that that would be a wizard goal, but they seem like they're not willing to let you get wizard goals on the same game. Collect the extra ball shuttle value. Increase the sprinter value to 7,000. Score the T drop target bonus. Earn the special and score at least 483,000 bonus points, which that might be just lighting all the multipliers and all the bonuses. So let's see how many of those we can do. None of that for this table seems particularly difficult. It just kind of all seems like, oh, this is stuff that would happen as long as you have a few good games. Notice how this table is also space themed, and with the exception of the man screaming, there's kind of no Star Wars fighting in it or anything like this. This is just good old-fashioned adventure, exploration themed NASA. And I imagine they may have even gotten permission to use the NASA logo. And this might have been a bit of cross-promotion. Or maybe not. It could just be straight up patriotism amongst the creators. Which, as far as I understand it, all the pinball companies of note were from the United States. Which seems wrong. It seems like somewhere out there should have been a European country that would have made pinball tables too, and that would have had some success. But I guess maybe the market was just never big enough for any competition there. You'd think that there would be a place like Sony or Capcom or something like that, a Japanese company that would have made pinball tables, but they didn't. They went vertical with pachinko machines. Arguably, one of the reasons why pinball tables and arcade machines may be somewhat unique to the United States is the diner craze that would have been happening not in the 60s, but the 40s and 50s and maybe late 60s. And with the idea of diners and roadside diners, they would have been places where it wasn't a fancy, full-dress, sit-down to eat a fancy meal restaurant. So all of a sudden the idea of having a jukebox and a pool table and an arcade game or pinball game makes more sense. Whereas if most of the restaurants in Europe at the time were fancy restaurants where you were expected to at most sit and listen to a live performance of dinner music, that would be about the only entertainment you might get, that or a radio playing.
3, 2, 1.
I suppose also if you think about like pubs and how they work in the UK, there isn't a lot of focus for singular solar experiences in pubs. It's usually groups singing or groups playing pool or darts. So there's kind of divergent cultures that sprung up. Two-ball, multi-ball. So you basically can't lose as long as the shields are up. As long as you don't lift the flipper. This table punishes you way more than any other table for accidentally having the flipper up when it should be down. Which that's an interesting idea. And at least in this case, the little metal guide rails under the flippers seem like they might serve a reason for existing there. Though I'm still not really sure why they exist. I have been playing for no more than 26 minutes, and probably less than that. And we've already gotten 2 of the wizard goals. And I think with any real luck, I could probably do the rest of them. The most difficult one is going to just be getting the bonus up as much as possible, which would be a case of just either finding a bonus hold, which I don't know if this table has that, or getting really good at shooting the right lane that brings you back to the top lanes and using lane select very carefully and very accurately.
3, 2, 1.
I'm still not sure what's the best scoring shot when in multi-ball, but I would assume it's straight up the center lane. It does seem like you'd have to have a fairly good game though to get that final wizard goal. I don't think it's supposed to be a case where this wizard goal is easier than this one, which is easier than this one, which is easier than this one, which is easier than this one. But yeah, 483,000 point bonus pretty much means we need to have the maximum bonus possible. What increases the spinner? Hitting drop targets that I didn't even know existed. Interesting. How many times do you have to hit them? Each time the bank of drop targets is completed, scores 20,000 points, increases the spinner value by 1,000 points, and lights one of the jump bumpers. Opens the airlock if it was closed, and increases the end of ball bonus by 3,000 points. The spinner starts at 1,000 points and can be increased up to 7,000 points. Once the spinner value is increased to 7,000 points, it lights the extra ball right ramp. When lit, shoot the bullseye target to end the right ramp to earn the extra ball. Spinner resets to 1,000 points per spin at the start of each new ball. Alright, and that's called the heat shield. Interesting. You get 12 seconds of heat shield every time you shoot up that way. Scoring shuttle value is one of the keys to getting a great score on Space Shuttle. At the start of each ball, one of the shuttle values is randomly selected. Shooting the bullseye at the end of the right ramp will randomly reselect the shuttle value. Okay. To score the lit shuttle value, collect the letter shuttle. Each shuttle target scores 1,000 whether they're lit or not. Dun, dun, dun. Letters in shuttle can also be collected by completing the right in-lane rollover. Left in-lane roller. When 20,000 plus spot shuttles lit these lights, once you advance the interval bonus multiplier to 5 times the bonus multiplier each time you do that. Here are the shuttle values: 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, bonus holdover plus 50,000. That's the one you really want. Light outlanes plus 100,000. Okay. Don't really want that. Extra ball and special automatically awards. Specials also award an extra ball. Once a shuttle value is scored, it will randomly select another one. Well, it's interesting. So that seems like that is pretty much random. And you can go up to 69,000 points, and then you can get a multiplier of 7. And 69 times 7 would probably be 438,000. Yep. So you would really have to have a great game or get the bonus holdover. Or I would have to get, I suppose, really, really good at hitting the drop down target shot, which there is kind of a consistent theme here as far as the precision of the shots that they want you to make here. Yeah. And this is a table where I probably, to get the wizard goals, would probably just choose to play and keep the ball in play as much as possible instead of actively targeting too many shots, because it's too easy to drain the ball if you're gonna specifically just try to spell shuttle. That being said, that was on the special, so had I hit the E at that point, that would have actually worked for me. It kinda sucks, I will say, in Pinball Arcade to get taken away from just the pure pinball pursuit of a high score. Because now that I know those wizard goals exist, that's what I'm trying to focus on. When if those goals didn't exist, I would just be playing and doing my best. And since you know there's no finite like finishing point on a pinball table, even if you do get the special, even if you do get the bonus multiplier to the max, even if you do the absolute best you could possibly ever do, the game still goes on, and you're not penalized for not doing the absolute best. Whereas the wizard goals are finite. You could accomplish the wizard goals multiple times, sure, but they only count the first time you accomplish them. I should, once again, just be looking to get a multiball again. This would be the perfect point to get a multiball again, because we've got the multiplier up high, we've got a bonus holdover. We only need to spell USA one more time and we'll have the multiplier at the highest. And that's great and all, but I don't think we got enough of a bonus multiplier there. Although that was a very high scoring experience. So the goal now would be to once again get a multi-ball or just get the multi-ball. Get the multipliers going higher. With only 3 balls, having a bonus holdover can only be so useful anyways. And there is no wizard goal for just scoring a specific amount of score. Yeah, and resetting a table is not really worth doing because it takes so long to potentially exit out and load back in. Much like firepower, though, this table is just just a matter of time doing the same thing. But you've seen everything it has to offer. It's a known quantity. It's a decent table to practice on and learn your shots on. But it isn't the best table to actually play if you're just looking to have fun. Because it's gonna get, it's gotten fairly monotonous, fairly repetitive. I will put this on the favorites list though. I'm not gonna try and rank all the tables numerically or anything like that, but I would say, even though this is probably a favorite table, it is on the lower end of favorite tables. Not one I would come back to as often as some of the others. Although, in all fairness, there's a decent chance I'm not going to come back to any of the tables for many years, and if I was going to spend a lot of hardcore time playing pinball, I probably would very quickly jump between different Alright, so I gotta spell Space Shuttle is the goal. I would probably jump between a lot of them really often.
3, 2, 1, abort, lift off. 3, 2, 1.
Hit the Space Shuttle over there on the right. I need the T and I need the L. Just need the T. Darn it. It shuffled it. That was a decent experience and all, but that lost my opportunity for the special, and I don't have a bonus holdover, so that still wasn't high enough bonus. So all for naught. We have still yet to see a table that multiplies the score based on the number of balls on the table. There is, of course, a trick to tables that played that way, because you often were asked to launch the balls yourself, and they didn't have auto launchers. Well, early in development of tables, there were a few tables like that. So you could potentially be given 3 balls and just never launch them onto the table, and just play with 1 ball and then launch the second ball when the first ball drained. That's why auto launcher became kind of necessary. Immediately drain out 2 of the two of the balls. All three of the balls lost on that right out lane. Yep. It kind of sucks that I've already have a decent experience with this table, because it really is just a matter of time before I would accomplish each of these goals. This one would probably take the most amount of work, and then I'd be done with this table, and then it'd be kind of difficult to even justify playing it ever again unless I just wanted to play it, which honestly that is the right attitude, is to potentially say screw the standard goals and wizard goals and just play the tables you want to play and just enjoy it. It's not like achievements on Steam matter anyways. But yeah, Space Shuttle, decent table, not one of my favorites. I am confused it for a different table, so there must be an Apollo 14 or something else here, unless they just don't have the license for that table. Well, they may just not have the license for that table. Interesting. I know there is a space themed table somewhere that had a whole bunch of balls. Maybe they couldn't even try to get the license for it because they couldn't play 8-ball multiplayer or more than 3 balls on the table at the same time because of the Pinball Arcade engine, but that doesn't really make sense, because I'm fairly certain I did play it on a FarSight Studios game. So I guess it will be a surprise, or it's one of these like logos that I just don't recognize. Like, I can't read what that says. But we may see another space themed table. We should, certainly. There should be another space themed, sci-fi themed. There should be another cowboy themed. There should be another fantasy themed table, 2 or 3. We are eventually going to start seeing licenses more and more. So far, we've been mostly away from that. There was a Disney movie called Black Hole. It probably had nothing to do with that. The game called Black Hole. But at the moment, it seems like Elvira is the first actual licensed game. And that's at the late 80s. And then you have Terminator and Addams Family, and I imagine several others. Doctor Who, Dracula. I don't know if you really would have to license that. Judge Dredd, Last Action Hero, Star Trek, Twilight Zone. They definitely came back in the 90s after a slump and started making a lot of licensed nostalgia based tables, which probably also indicates that they hit a point where it was slightly faster turnaround and slightly easier to make a pinball table than it was in the 80s or 70s or 60s, which probably took them a lot longer to develop and think things through. Yep. I really didn't spend that much time playing Space Shuttle. Success came too easy and too quick for that table. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.